Most people think fasting is something you do for God. You give something up, you prove your devotion, and you hope heaven notices and finally responds. But look at the most famous fast in the whole Bible, and that idea quietly falls apart. When Jesus fasted for 40 days in the wilderness, he was not trying to change God's mind about him. God had already called him beloved at his baptism, before the fast, not after. So the fast was not for God at all. It was working on the human being, on the body, and through the body, on the mind. Take away the comforts, and 3 hidden forces step out of the dark. What Jesus does with those 3 forces is the reason this fast was never about pleasing God at all. It was for you. Stay with me, because by the end, you are going to see exactly what the fast uncovers and why the silence was the entire point. Let us start by killing the idea most of us were handed. The idea is that fasting is a transaction. You go hungry, God sees the effort, and God softens toward you, answers the prayer, moves the blessing a little closer. Fasting as leverage. Fasting to earn. But read the desert story carefully, and that whole picture collapses, because the timing is all wrong. Right before the fast, at the river, a voice calls, "Jesus, my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased." The approval comes first, before he skips a single meal, before the wilderness. So whatever the 40 days were for, they cannot have been to earn a favor he already had. And notice, this is not us bending the story to fit an idea. The text hands us the order itself. The voice of approval comes first. The fast comes second. You do not have to twist a single word. You only have to read them in the sequence they are actually written. God was not standing at a distance, arms crossed, waiting to be impressed. Read inwardly. That is the correction this whole video turns on. God is not outside you, waiting to be persuaded, attracted, or paid. The presence is already there, already yours, already spoken over you. So, if the fast does not change God, what does it change? It changes the conditions inside the one who fasts. That is the whole mechanism, and almost nobody teaches it. When you strip away comfort, stimulation, appetite, and the steady drip of easy satisfaction, you change what you are able to notice. You do not reach God by fasting. You remove some of the noise that was drowning God out. Same presence, clearer signal. And that shift from changing heaven to changing your own inner conditions is the difference between religion and actually waking up. And notice the number, because it is not random. 40. In these stories, 40 is a signal, and it shows up every single time somebody is about to be stripped down and changed. When the flood washed the old world clean, it rained 40 days and 40 nights. When Moses went up the mountain to stand in front of God, he stayed 40 days and 40 nights. And the text says he ate no bread and drank no water. The same fast. When Israel came out of slavery, they did not march straight into the promised land. They spent 40 years in the wilderness first. And when the prophet Elijah was broken and running for his life, he walked 40 days into the desert to reach the mountain of God. Every time, 40 marks a crossing, long enough to take away everything a person leans on, and long enough to bring them out the other side changed. So, when the Gospels say Jesus fasted for 40 days, the first people who heard it did not hear a diet. They heard an alarm bell. This is a stripping. This is a crossing. Somebody is about to find out what is really inside them. So, let us be precise about what the fast actually does, because this is where the whole thing turns from religion into something you can test. Fasting is subtraction. It removes. And when you remove enough, Something hidden is forced into the light. Think about who you are on an ordinary day. You are fed. You are entertained. You have got 100 small comforts stacked between you and yourself. The snack, the scroll, the noise, the next little hit of satisfaction. And as long as those keep arriving, you feel calm and in control. But that control was never really yours. It was just never hungry. Think of it like a house at night. All day the noise of the street covers the sounds inside the walls. Turn the noise off, and suddenly you hear the pipes knocking, the floor settling, the mouse behind the plaster. None of it is new. It was always there. You just could not hear it under the noise. Fasting turns the noise off. Bill Donahue used to say that every figure in the Bible is a part of you. That these are not stories about people far away. They are a map of what is moving inside your own mind. Read the fast that way, and it stops being about food at all. It is what you do when you deliberately turn the volume down on comfort so you can finally hear what has been running underneath. And there is a plain, physical version of this you already know. When the body goes without, its signals get louder. The wanting grows. The pull toward the nearest relief gets harder to ignore. That is not a malfunction, and it is not the point to just push through it. The loudness is the information, and here is where a completely different field, one with nothing to do with religion, lands on the very same point. Researchers who study cravings have found something strange about them. A craving is not a straight line that climbs and climbs until you break. It rises, it peaks, and then it falls on its own, often sooner than you would expect, whether or not you obey it. The people who study this even have a name for riding one out without acting on it. They call it urge surfing. Hold on to that, because it matters more than almost anything else here. The hungrier Jesus gets, the louder every craving in him would be speaking, until the things that are normally too quiet to notice are impossible to miss. That is the condition the story is describing. Not a weak man about to lose a fight. An exposed man who can finally see, at full volume, everything that has quietly been steering him. And to be clear, this is not a call to go starve yourself for 40 days. You do not need to punish your body to learn this. The desert is a picture. Stay with the picture. If you would rather test an idea yourself than be told what to believe, this channel is one long, patient walk through that map, so it is worth subscribing for. Now the story says a tempter speaks, and here is where we have to be honest about what that means, because the cartoon version, a red creature with horns standing on the sand, is not what the text is doing. Read inwardly, the adversary is not an outside monster. It is the lower mind. It is compulsive appetite, ego, and raw ambition, the forces that come forward the moment the comforts are gone and start bidding to run the person. 3 of them step up, and they make 3 strange offers that do not seem connected at all. Watch. The first, command these stones to become bread. It goes straight at the body. 40 days empty, and the very first move is food. Not gold, not an army, not a crown. Bread. Because it is not stupid. It reaches for whatever is screaming loudest. And after 40 days, that is raw appetite, the demand to relieve the discomfort now. And notice how Jesus answers. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. He does not call the body evil. He says bread alone is not enough to live on. There is a second food. The appetite is real, but it does not get to be the ruler. The second offer. Throw yourself down from the top of the temple. The angels will catch you. Everyone will see. This one is not about the body. It is about being seen. It is the ego, the hunger for validation, the craving to perform and to prove your own spiritual power in front of a crowd. Make a spectacle, get admired. And the third offer, it shows him all the kingdoms of the world and says, all of it is yours, just bow. Not food, not applause, power, status, control, domination, the whole world in exchange for one bow. 3 offers, bread, a spectacle, a kingdom. They look like 3 completely different things. Hold that, because they are about to line up into one shape, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. The 3 are not a random pile of temptations. They are 3 levels of the same thing, and they climb in order. The bread is the lowest level, the body, raw appetite that only cares about the ache right now. The leap from the temple is the next level up. Not the body anymore, but the ego, the part that needs to be seen and admired and proven right. And the kingdoms are the top. Ambition, the will to control and dominate, the hungriest force of all. Appetite, then ego, then ambition. Body, then image, then power. That is the ladder every pull you have ever felt is climbing. And here's the detail that locks it shut. Every time Jesus answers, he answers with a single line, and all 3 of those lines come from the same place. The book of Deuteronomy, from the story of Israel's own 40 years in the wilderness. Sit with that. A whole nation went into a desert and met the same 3 pulls. They got hungry and cried out over bread. They demanded that God prove himself, and they were pulled again and again toward other powers and the shortcut to a kingdom. The belly, the demand to be proven, the reach for power. The same 3. Walking it on the outside, as a nation, they mostly lost to them. What the fast does is take those same 3 forces inward into one person in one wilderness and put them all in a row, in order, in the open, so they can finally be seen for what they are. This is what the subtraction exposes. Not that you are bad, that you are governed, that most of your day, most of your choices are quietly run by appetite, or by the need to be seen, or by the drive to win, and you almost never notice because the comfort keeps them fed and quiet. The fast pulls the comfort, and the 3 of them stand up in the light. That, by itself, is worth more than any blessing you were trying to earn, because you cannot govern what you cannot see. Look at an ordinary evening, and you can watch all 3 run without your permission. You open your phone before you have even decided to. That is the appetite. You rehearse the perfect reply that will make you look right. That is the ego. You slip into the daydream where you finally have the money, the status, the last word. That is the ambition. None of it chosen. All of it running. The fast is simply the moment you catch them in the act. So here is the turn the whole story has been building toward, and it is not the one you would expect. It would be easy to say, the lesson is that Jesus beat the 3 forces, so go beat yours. That is true, but it is not the deep part. Watch what actually happens when he refuses each offer. He does not destroy the appetite, the ego, or the ambition. He simply refuses to hand any of them the seat. And the moment they stop ruling, something that was there the whole time becomes visible again. The presence. The one the voice had already spoken over before he ever entered the desert. It did not arrive because he fasted. It was never gone. It was just buried under the noise of 3 forces fighting for control. Subtract the noise, refuse the false rulers their throne, and what is uncovered is not something new you achieved. It is what was already there underneath. Read inwardly. This is the point of the entire account. Fasting does not reach up and pull God down. It clears away what was standing between you and the presence already within you. And this is not a stray idea smuggled into one desert story. Jesus said it in the open. In the King James Bible, he tells them straight, "The kingdom of God is within you." Some translations soften that line to "among you" or "in your midst," but the older English says it plainly, "within." Not out in the sky, not in a building, not off in some future. The desert simply proves it the hard way. Take everything on the outside away, and the kingdom he pointed to does not vanish. It is the one thing still standing when the noise is finally gone. That is why the fast was never about pleasing God. It was for you. It hands you back to yourself, cleared of the static, with the three forces finally in view and finally under you instead of over you, and with the quiet presence at the center, recognizable again. The story ends with the tempter leaving, and the text says, angels coming to minister to him. On the far side of the exposure is not exhaustion. It is peace. The house is quiet because the noise has been named and set down, and the one who was there all along is finally the one on the seat. So what do you actually do with this? Not a 40-day fast. Something small and honest and safe. And notice, fasting was never only about food. You can fast from anything that keeps the noise running, the endless scrolling, the need to fill every silence with talk, the gossip, the habit you reach for the second you feel discomfort, the little checks for validation. Pick one automatic comfort and set it down, on purpose, for a short, defined stretch. Not to punish yourself, and not to earn anything. Just to turn the noise off and see what steps forward. Say you pick the phone, and for one evening you leave it in the other room. Within minutes, you will feel the reach for it, the little itch to check, to fill the silence. Good. That itch is the whole lesson, arriving right on time. Because the moment you remove the comfort, one of the three will show up. The appetite, reaching for the thing that stops the discomfort now. The ego, needing to be seen or to be right. The ambition, running its little film about winning. When it rises, you do the one thing that changes everything. You name it, quietly. That is the appetite. That is my ego. That is the ambition. And then you watch it instead of becoming it. You do not fight it because fighting feeds it, and you do not obey it. You just let it stand there in the light, named, while you stay in the seat. The wanting will crest like a wave, and if you simply watch it without feeding it, it passes, usually sooner than you would expect. That is not just poetry. That is the urge surfing from earlier, happening inside your own body. Each time you let a craving rise and fall without feeding it, the wiring that fires it tends to get a little weaker. You are not only getting through tonight, you are physically loosening the grip of the thing, one watched wave at a time. And in the gap it leaves behind, in that small quiet, you get a taste of the thing the 40 days were really for.